Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne's Sharp World, where today we are taking a look at the first of three amazing new knives that's going to be dropping through Winter Blade Co. October 23rd. Now, like I said, there's three. I am absolutely in love with two of them, and I am really liking the third. I thought we'd start off with one of the ones that I love, and then later in the week or later as we get closer to October 23rd, we'll take a look at the other two with full reviews because it's been really hard to get these guys out of the pocket. They've really had to share some time because they're all really good. And this one here is very unique, using patents and all sorts of different things. Winter Blade Co., Brian Winters, the man in charge at Winter Blade, is doing some really, really unique things in the knife industry. If you are a pocket knife enthusiast, if you like different things, creative designs, outside of the box thinking, this is a brand you need to get used to. Doing really cool things. Here we go, little certificate of authenticity. The M-Fire, as you can see, we see some of the specs here. Vanex blade steel, titanium carbon fiber, batch 1. And there's the man himself, Brian Winters, bringing some amazing things to the knife community. And let's take a look in this pouch and see just what we have, because this is, you definitely get the vibe. So let me just shut up and let's pull it out and look at it. Here you got the, your pouch and your cloth and all that good stuff. But most importantly, you have this guy right here. And yes, this right here is the M-Fire. Now, before we go any further into this review, let's take a look at some overall specs on this very unique, very creative EDC right here. We have an overall length coming in at 7 inches with a blade length of 2.75 inches and a blade thickness. So it's a little deceiving. The actual blade stock itself is 158 thousandths, but as you can see, it gets thinner up towards the tip, and down here behind the edge, it gets very slicey. We'll talk more about that when we get to the blade itself. But yes, 158 thousandths thick blade stock, but again, that doesn't really tell the story because it does thin down quite more around the 120, 125 thousandths up here towards the tip in terms of the spine thickness. As I said before, Vanex blade steel. Pretty clearly a sheep's foot style blade, but with that Winter Blade Co. design language that kind of gives it that little futuristic look to it that I love. Full flat grind, nice and slicey, handle length of 4.25 inches, handle thickness at 500 thousandths. We have, as you already saw, carbon fiber on the clip side and blackened titanium on the show side, with a really nice kind of just like a straight line milling pattern that just works really well with the design and vibes of the knife. The locking mechanism, this is where it gets very different. This is using the I-Lock, similar to the M-Lock, but it runs on a compression spring instead of magnets. Now, don't get confused. There's still magnets in this guy, just not with the locking system. We'll get to the magnets here in a second. User of a left or right hand tip-up carry. Yes, left user choice. This guy is lefty compatible. You can switch this clip over here. So there you go. Thank you, Mr. Winters, for that. We have a weight coming in at 4.25 ounces. As you already know, designed by Brian Winters, and a price of $380. Now, keep in mind, when we're talking $380, yeah, that's a bigger number, but you're talking Vanex steel, and you're also talking patents. In these three models that are dropping on October 23rd, Brian had to put some patents in play to kind of keep other people from sipping his Kool-Aid, because he's got a really cool thing going here, and he's designed this. This is his work, his baby. So to get those patents in place, that costs money. And you can't just, you had that money has to get paid off somehow. So all that gets factored into the price. But overall, you compare this to other $380 knives, it is right up there fighting with it fist for fist. It is a very comparable knife, I will say. It's a very good job, and I don't think 380 is crazy when you consider the level of uniqueness as well as all the patenting going into the knife itself. Let's take a look at some size comparisons, see how it compares to some other knives out there. Let's see, what do I have that is similar? I have nothing that's similar, but I have some things that may kind of be close. Let's see here. I got so many next to me. I got the CJRB Pyrite. That's actually kind of close. Here is the Kaiser Original XL, a little longer. I thought I had a sheepdog. Oh, here we go. Here's, well, it's a mini sheepdog, so it's not going to be the best. But it's still a little thicker to kind of give you an idea of just in terms of the blade thickness, kind of how that sets up there. Very comparable in terms of overall blade size to the mini sheepdog. A little more sharpened edge on that end fire, though. So there's that. And you know what? That's it. That's enough for size comparisons. Oh, wait, you know what? Here, one more. Real quick. Real quick. Kaiser drop bear. There you go. That should help. That's actually worth doing. Okay, now let's move on. Let's talk about this knife because there's a lot to talk about. Again, as I said, very unique, very different, very freaking cool. The blade. Let's talk about the blade. As you can see, there's a beautiful black coating on this Vanex blade with a kind of that satin-looking finish, so it's nice and shiny. Absolutely gorgeous. It is a stunner with that black sheen and the carbon fiber and that little touches of kind of like lighter, like dark gray and black that you see woven into the carbon fiber. Black everything. It's just a really cool, stealthy looking knife. Big fan of the aesthetics on this guy. As I said earlier, the blade starts at 158,000 thick stock, gets down thinner along the spine, and comes down to an edge of 16 thousandths behind the edge. So 16 thousandths, full flat grind. You guys know what that means. Epic sliciness. So very good in the slicing department. And just overall a very, very good looking blade with a very nice blade cutout here. That's very nice for middle finger flicking. Now, as you saw, I middle finger flicked it, but also I just flipped it out with this little actuator here. We will talk more about that when we get to the action here in just a second, but let's talk about the handle real quick. The handle is deceivingly good. Deceivingly good. When I first pulled this out of the box and I was just kind of holding it, I thought, or as I was like getting to just, kind of get used to it, I thought, I don't know how this is going to feel. It just doesn't look like anything else, which is a good thing, but that always brings in the concern of just how good the ergo is going to be. The ergos are surprisingly great on this guy because, again, you don't have any points. There's a lot of flat spots. Everything is flat. There's no real rounding, but it's all flat. You have a flat base. You got nice kind of wide, flat chamfers. Same on this side. You have a nice wide clip that feels good in the hand. So there's just no point of this knife that you really feel. It's a very smooth, flat feeling hand. Kind of neutral, kind of like there's a little bit of curve here and here. So it has a very unique way of fitting very well into your hand. So it feels really good. In terms of the handle materials, this is a very robust, strong knife. I really, really like that. You have thick carbon fiber, you have thick titanium, 500 thousandths. You get that extra little bit of girth there on the handle. So very, very nice. In case you're wondering, this guy right here, it doesn't do anything. It's not a button. It doesn't move. It's there primarily for aesthetics and to hold the magnet in there. There's definitely a magnet in there. But that magnet does not have to stay there. We'll talk more about that in just a second because that's one of the coolest things about this knife. Now, the action. It's great, but it's also versatile and different because technically, while this operates more like an automatic, it is considered an assisted opening knife under U.S. law. That is because it uses the M-Fire system, which is using magnets. So you have the I-Lock system, which is using a spring, which is completely separate from the firing mechanism, which is the M-Fire system, and that's where the magnets come into play. So anytime you deploy the blade like this, that's the magnet doing that. That is not a spring. That's a magnet kicking this blade out, which is really, really cool. Now, you can probably see in the video, it doesn't fling out. This is the farthest thing from ProTech action in terms of blade deployment, but it's smooth, it's clean, it's nice. It works, and it still offers that option for middle finger flicking, which is really, really good because the M-Fire system, the M-Fire system operates with two magnets assisting the blade in kicking it out. Now that also operates as a detent for the blade. So when I go to kick this blade out, I feel a nice detent. You don't feel like the click from a detent ball, but you feel a good resistance. And what I really, really love about this when you have the magnets in is when you go to close the blade, It is so easy. You know, usually with assisted knives, you have to push through the spring because all the assisted knives we're used to, like the Kershaws and all that stuff, those are using springs. With the magnets, the way this works, it is just so easy to close this. It can be closed blindfolded with an arm tied behind your back, and it is just so easy. Really, it kind of like, so when you break it, the blade kind of falls down halfway, and what stops it here is the force of the magnet from closing, and that's when you just move your fingers down and close it. It is so fun, and it's a very unique type of fidget. It's a very unique fidget factor in this that is really, really good. Now, the really cool part about this knife is if you don't like magnets, if you're like, well, that kind of actually maybe sounds gimmicky to me. Maybe you don't like the magnets at all. That's fine. You can take the magnets out, and because the locking system itself is operated with the spring, you don't need the magnets. You can take the magnets out and just make it manual. So you can still middle finger flick it to deploy it open, and it still locks, and everything is still good. And then when you go to close it, it's kind of like closing like a crossbar lock. You would move this down, just swing the blade closed, and it would close. Now, as you can see, like I said before, I can't do that right now because when it goes to swing close, it hits the magnet, and the magnet pushes it back up. But you take the magnets out, you can just close it like a crossbar locking knife. That's amazing. I want to do that and experience it, but I really, really like the action and unique operation of it with the magnets in. At some point, I will probably take the magnets out, but I am thoroughly enjoying this guy as is. Brian has done a fantastic job of coming out with really great, unique knives for all the models he's done. This one, I can't say it's the most unique because the factor is kind of on another level, but this is amazing. This is just fantastic work. All the details are hit on. Everything about it is just great. I could not be more happy to have one of these. You will see a lot more of this guy. This is easily a Knife of the Year contender. It's just a really, really cool, unique offering. I've said it before and I'll say it again. In a current knife market where it's so saturated with designs, you have something like or anything from Winter Blade Co. that is different. It's out there. It's its own brand. It's its own design. There's nothing else you really think of when you see these. I really like that. And then you add the uniqueness of just the innovation factor with the magnets and the different locks and the different deployment systems. Winter Blade Co. is on its own level. It's just on its own level, and it's kind of making its own game in the knife industry. So really, really impressed with this. Definitely worth checking out. Like I said, don't miss out. October 23rd is when this guy is available, as well as 2 more new models, completely different models that I will be reviewing on the channel in the upcoming 5 or 6 days before the 23rd, or well, it's more than 6 days before the 23rd, but we'll be taking a look at it before the 23rd to get you guys filled in. So if you're not subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Got a lot of sweet content for you guys. I have been sent some heat from Winter Blade Co. from 2 other really cool brands that aren't from the normal groups that I usually review on the channel. I cannot wait to bring those to you guys. But this right here is the Winter Blade Empire. Let me know what you think of this. It is a banger and one that should be on just about everyone's list because it's amazing. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think of the Empire. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.